You're listening to Get to Know World of Warships, a podcast created by Boggzy and Synpax.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining me. This is Boggzy, and let's just get this right out of the way. My friend Synpax is gone. He left a note in the form of a TNG All Hands video that you can see. It's public. It's on our YouTube channel. And he won't be doing the podcast anymore. It's difficult for me, as you can imagine, because I grew to know him very well from doing this. This is episode 47 right now, the first without him, truly. And it's a little difficult, but I'm going to continue to do the podcast. I really enjoy doing this. I've enjoyed what we've been able to uncover. So I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to do it at a reduced operation, I want to say. I think that's the right way to put it. He and I enjoyed the episodes going kind of longer as things went on, to the point where they were frequently reaching over an hour long. And we sort of decided to make it like a variety type show. He was a big fan of old-time radio variety shows and long-form talk shows. So that's where we went. We would banter and debate and talk about news and culture in World of Warships and whatnot, and then we'd talk to a person about a specific thing, and then we'd talk to a clan. There was a whole lot that we did. So I'm going to continue the podcast, but probably reduce it to one segment per episode. Hopefully that way I can keep it to maybe 30, 40 minutes at the absolute most. That'll reduce the workload on me, since I'm the only one doing it now. And maybe it'll make it a little more accessible for folks to get through an entire episode. I know that it can be difficult when it's an hour and a half long, and that sometimes really intense or interesting bits of information or opinions can get lost when you have to sift through an hour and a half worth of talk. So I'll continue to do things. Having a shorter podcast means that I might also be able to up the production value a little bit, make things more fun, make it feel a little bit more polished. And I think I'll be able to use the 46 episodes worth of practice that I have to have my questions be a little more direct and biting and a little more streamlined, as opposed to sort of just meandering through. If I started listening to the first 20 episodes I did, and I wanted to punch myself in the face. Like, no, I didn't even want to punch myself in the face in the moment. I wanted to reach back in history, grab the guy who I was listening to by the throat and punch him in the face and say, "Get to the point, dude." But as of yet, we still don't have the technology for that, so I'm going to just say that moving forward, things should be a little more streamlined, a little more time efficient is what I want to put it. Hopefully still entertaining. It will be difficult without Synpax. He was the brains of this operation, and I was the beauty. So, needless to say, I might have to up my game a little bit. But I am looking forward to it. And we're going to start off by talking in a few minutes here with Borla of KSC and Fryce of SCCC about the upcoming proposition to change competitive mode to include Mercenaries. So stick with us here for just a minute while we do that. And yeah. Also, I feel like I should tell everybody that it is my intention, but I can't promise anything. It is my intention to have Synpax on for episode 50. Give him a couple weeks off, and then bring him on for episode 50 to talk about himself. I would like to interview Synpax. I'd like to get to know Synpax. So please, 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 if you have any questions about where he went or why, expect some answers in that episode. And I'll let that one go long because he's my friend and I want to talk to him. So anyway, let's without further ado, let's go ahead and transition over here, and I'll grab Fryce and Borla, and we'll talk some Mercenaries. All right, well, please let's welcome my first guests of this new shiny coat of paint on the Get to Know World of Warships podcast. Joining me right now are Borla and Fryce. Borla, of course, leader of Killsteel Confirmed and all of its subsidiary clans. And Fryce being one of the leaders of SCCC, the Seal Cub Clubbing Club, and also a COTS admin. You may have got a ping from this man this week, possibly several. So, gentlemen, you are here to talk with me and each other about merking. We recently got an update from Wargaming that basically states they're going to allow people to join other clans during clan battles without a waiting period or actually changing clans. And so I appreciate you guys being here to talk with me and speculate on this a little bit. So, Borla, how are you?
I'm doing good, Boggzy. How about you?
It's been an interesting couple of weeks, but I'm doing well. How about you, Fryce? How you doing?
I'm alright. I'm just trying to maintain composure since COTS has 40 extra teams that we weren't expecting. And we're all scrambling to be able to handle that.
I'm sure we could have an entire episode just talking about your guys' reaction to the volume of people wanting to play COTS, but
we might have lost it in our private Discord channel for about an hour.
Yeah, not gonna lie, not to get sidetracked, but it's absolutely astounding to me just how much effort and like the Herculean effort that's gonna have to go into managing all this. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. It almost feels like a service of some sort, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so gentlemen, in theory, we're going to have Mercs coming in the future, and unless one of you guys can correct me, essentially what they've said is that people are going to be able to join the clan battle divisions of other clans that they're not even associated with, as long as they get an invite from, I guess, the division leader. And it doesn't require you to join clans. It can just be anybody. You can be out of a clan, in a clan. And the reason they said was, the reason they stated was they want clans to be able to evaluate new players without having to have them join the clan. So let me just get like a first reaction from each of you. I'll start with Fryce, since we haven't really spoken to you before on the podcast about this sort of thing. What was your initial reaction?
So I found it to be startling, to say the least, that we got this announcement less than a month after what happened with PWP, VOR, UMR, R, and others, where they all got banned for EULA violations in terms of real money transactions and account sharing for steel farming and clan battles, basically. Because my initial reaction to this was, oh wow, it's just going to open up a path to make that even easier to do and even harder for individuals to actually trace. Because the way Wargaming actually got attention called to the steel trading was a whole bunch of, 43%ers and 50%ers joining those clans full of 60% players and then rolling 95-96% win rates in clan battles.
Right. So what Fryce is describing, for anybody who's listening who might be in the dark about this, there was actually a pretty public wave of clan disbandings of some of the top clans in several different servers. It wasn't even just one server, but PWP CCTV2 in NA, VOR in EU, UMRR, in Asia, although I think that one was reversed, or maybe was actually due to was due to something that had happened before the original disbanding. I'm not sure. I don't want to say something incorrect, but basically these clans were disbanded because they had been charging people to join the clan, join their Hurricane level clan, and then essentially give them access to their accounts so these Hurricane level players could grind out clan battles at Hurricane for them and essentially deposit a big chunk of steel. So essentially, if you boil it down, people were paying these Hurricane level clans to use their accounts to get steel, paying them for steel, which is a violation of Wargaming's end user license agreement. And that's what Fryce means by this. Almost sounds like a sanctioned version of that. So Borla, what about you? What were your first reactions?
Very similar to what Fryce said, especially given the timing. But immediately, I also thought of a lot of problems that would cause in-game, or a lot of grief it would cause. And I think if the idea is to help clans that are struggling to have participation, or help clans screen potential recruits, that it's actually going to help big established groups more, along with all of the potential real money transaction things that could go on.
So you both are leaders of big established clans. So can you speak a little bit more to that about how it would help you guys? I know you mentioned on that end part there that obviously there's a monetary value attached to this, and we'll get to that, trust me. I mean, like, what does that mean for a big clans like you guys in terms of, you know, how this is going to shape? I mean, I don't know.
So one of the things that I thought of immediately with a big established group is oftentimes the struggle is to recruit people to the clans that are perceived lower in your ecosystem. So for our group to recruit people to want to be in KSE, especially a couple seasons ago when they were struggling between Storm and Typhoon 3, sometimes people would come to us and they would want to be in one of the other clans, but it would be a struggle to get them in KSE. Well, under this type of plan with the Mercs, we could easily just farm KSE up to Hurricane with some of our players that are Hurricane level players and have all of the clans be very close and really help us grow stronger and draw players away from, say, an independent medium-sized clan that's hanging around the top of Storm or bottom of Typhoon that those players might have went to instead.
Right, absolutely. So I mean, you could literally just once your main crew, once KSC, for example, is in Hurricane, you could, if you wanted, just start having half the teams fielded by KSE or F. Sorry, is there a KSF?
It's kind of a retirement home.
Okay, it's like
never going to be competitive. We are never going to go beyond 3 competitive. But yeah, what you're talking about, we could run, instead of running 2 or 3 divisions in KSC on a given night, we could take one of those divisions and spread them out, or take some KSD guys as well, and put an anchor of 2 or 3 really, really good players,
right,
callers, a CV. Can you imagine sending Cable Guy down? Like that?
Sure.
What a difference that would make. So that's the kind of thing that would help us more, I think, than would help a team that it seems like they're trying to help.
Absolutely. I mean, lots of folks actually sort of joke that TNG does that. Like the TNG will just, hey, we'll get one up into Hurricane, and then those people will migrate down, get that into Hurricane, and then TNG 3, what have you. And rarely did that ever actually happen. It just so anyone curious can know, what generally would happen was we would have a crew system where we'd have dedicated teams in each branch, and then as the season progressed, if a team put up a really impressive win rate or scored some impressive victories over other good clans, they would move up. And then if teams were clearly struggling, they would move down, but they stayed as a group. It wasn't as if we were just transferring individual players around to pad win rates or whatnot. So I don't know, just in case anyone is curious about that. But it's to me like from what both of you have said, like this merking system, at least interclan or intra-clan, I guess intra-clan in the sense of a group of clans like, KSX or TNG or SCCC even, basically it would make the entirety of the clan umbrella function as a single unit more often than not. Would that be fair, you guys?
So to some extent, yes, but also not incredibly. So SCCC, we are one clan. We have a sub-clan, but it's kind of a retirement home, so there's no real competitive relevance there. But what would end up happening there is, like this past season, there were a couple nights where they had like 5 people. Past season being CB9, not 10, because we were boycotting.
Right.
So they would have like 5 people, and we could send 2 down there and just, go goof off. Because what ends up happening is we end up with, 11 people in the main clan that are like, hey, I want to do clan battles. And then you have to try and rotate people out through the night, and that gets annoying, especially when you're trying to push ratings or any of that. But on the flip side of that, the whole recruitment benefit of this does actually exist. Because, sure, you can have great stats, but stats do not mean you're actually a viable competitive player. It just means you know how to farm.
Certainly. Yeah. Actually, I recall, Borla, your recruitment method, or maybe not recruitment method, but your vetting method of how to decide where a new recruit would come in, is essentially that you require a week of play with other KSX members before you and the other admins make a decision. Is that right?
Yeah, for us, I don't think for us this would be a benefit in recruiting, because we have a 7 or 10 day period. Sometimes it stretches to 2 or 3 weeks if the person's not on a lot or has things going on, where we ask them to play. We play in divs. We play with various levels of talent in our group. and make a decision that way. So we're able to do that because we have 3 full clans and we're not super aggressive at adding numbers. We're looking for more people who will be able to perform and are dedicated to clan battles. And we feel like the system that we've been using for the last 6 months or so has worked really well. For a mid-sized clan or a small clan, I could see some benefit for that. I just think all of the negatives they heavily outweigh the positives. I also think we haven't, like, a lot of this is speculation because we, as you mentioned at the beginning, we weren't given a lot of information.
Right.
I don't think we've been told if Mercs would be limited to people who were clanless or if they'd have to be in a clan. The number of Mercs allowed on a team. I think there's lots of factors that could influence whether this is game breaking or competitive breaking, or whether, and I have some ideas of some limitations that I think should be put in place if they force this on us.
Force this on us?
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
There's lots of things that have been forced on us in the game, and you have to deal with them if you want to stay in the game. But if you can mitigate some of the things, so if this is on that list of things, I think there are a lot of details that need worked out and a lot of limitations on it.
Speaking of things that, oh yeah,
statement there. You are able to merc if you are in a clan. That had been confirmed.
Okay, so if you are in, for example, if I'm in TNG main and I feel like if I'm going, oh okay, a group in TNG3 is struggling tonight, whether maybe just raiding or maybe, hey, they got 6 players and they can't field a full team, I can legit just jump into a division with TNG3 with no cooldown period, correct?
Cooldown, we don't know, but yes.
Oh, that's a good point. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but I don't have to leave the clan and join a new clan.
You could do it every day. We don't know if you could bring 4 people. We don't know, a number of that stuff.
Right.
Except what we know, you can be in a clan, you can merc for any other clan, and you get your wins.
Well, if this feature is anything like the demonstration of the skipping dive bomb, I'm going to be thrilled, because that reminded me, I don't know if you guys have seen that video, and this is totally digressing, but that video of the dive bombers skipping a bomb across the ocean looked to me like those videos from the 60s where they put people on the moon and you see the guys just really slowly jumping at the incorrect physics for Earth. I can't wait for skipping bombs, guys.
I'm just not going to comment here because, as Boggzy might be aware, I am a, how do I put this kindly? I am incredibly against the notion of carriers in this game, as they ruin the rock, paper, scissors theoretical balance dynamic between the other 3 surface classes by not caring about any game mechanics in the game.
I recall. And that your opinion is respected here, so fear not. Sorry for that digression, fellas, but yeah, Borla, what were you going to say?
But I think, and Fryce started out with it, the biggest thing is the real money transactions. And all of us have seen across many Discords the discussion since this has come out.
Yes.
And I would like to think, and probably a lot of these people are joking and making jokes about it, but you could, for instance, in a clan that is high up in Hurricane or high up in Typhoon, that doesn't care about their lower rating because it's late in the season, or maybe they only push a single rating, you could easily sell 1 spot to somebody who wasn't in a Typhoon or Hurricane clan and get enough wins to generate things. You could have Hurricane or Typhoon players selling their services when a Storm team is in the progression to Typhoon, and they go, hey, we're going to go get a couple Mercs to get us into Typhoon. Or they've fallen into the struggle, hey, we're going to go get a couple Mercs to help us out. Or late in the season, you could have top players who are trying to could go to a team that wants to finish off a spot to pass a rival. They're
right.
10-15. You look at what happened at the end of this last season, where it came down to us and 007 for the very last game, and it was a heads-up game, and whoever won was going to get 2nd place, and whoever lost was going to get 4th place.
Right.
And it was a fight between our 2 clans to do that. Imagine if one of us could have merked out a couple people and had Gaishu come play for us, or somebody, and granted, with strategies and the things that you do at a high Hurricane level, familiarity matters.
Yeah.
But those are the types of things, especially late season, the griefing that could be done. And then, Fryce mentioned his dislike for CVs. I think CVs are going to be a thing still for the next season or 2. Imagine what the best CV players on the server could get for a couple nights with a clan that was really trying to push something.
I can't wait to see the cable guy menu coming out that Borla creates and starts circulating around Discord. It's like, for you sir, you could have cable guy for a night for only $200. Come in this package comes an Audacious, a Midway, or a Richtofen. May I say, his Richtofen skills are particularly satisfying. Anyway,
I mean, So I think those things, and those aren't all my idea. Like, those are things I've read on Discords of people saying, "Hey, let's set up an app to do this or a website to advertise."
Absolutely,
absolutely ridiculous considering how much wargaming has come down, as you mentioned, on the teams doing that. Like, this is going to open the door wide for it.
It's not even opening the door. It's literally setting up and establishing a market. Yeah, it's like saying it's taking the door off the hinges and using them to create a table where you can do business. It's full, complete embracing of this. And to be completely honest with you, we're gonna take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to really get into this with you two guys about what a market for merking means, what it could do potentially. I really do want to give it its, since we're just speculating here, I do want to give it its day in the sun and say what could be good about this, and let's put our collective brain power here to good use and see if we can find some good in this, and then let's tear it apart. So everybody, we're going to run a quick ad break real quick, and we'll be right back on Get to Know World of Warships with Borla and Fryce.
Are you stuck in Stormleague with a battleship comp? You need to get merked. At OnlyMercs.life, we have teams of professional warship players who've given up family, relationships, and self-respect to help you win at video games. Choose from a variety of player packages, including COTS Champions, NA Clan Battle Champs, or get exotic with our exclusive EU Brawl package. There is not a boat these mercs won't play until you are left satisfied. OnlyMercs.life. We'll win because you can't. Get merked today.
Thank you for sticking with us. Ooh, that was my coffee cup. Through that clearly not satirical commercial break. So, again, we're here talking with Borla, leader of KSC. We're talking with Fryce, one of the admins of the COTS server, and one of the... I had to ask you to explain to me how SCCC's adminship works, Fryce, before the break, or before the podcast. And you mentioned that you guys sort of rotate and take turns being in charge of SCCC?
Yeah, so what it is I'm one of 10, and because there's 10 of us, no one's actually in charge, which means, if I'm being a terrible person and bullying this other person, there are other people that they can go to go help with, or vice versa.
Wow.
So no one is truly in charge, which means no one is always going to be the bad guy, if that makes sense.
It sounds like the Russian Revolution, brother. I can't wait until one of you with a mustache decides to just murder the other 9 in the middle of the night.
I felt like I just got called a bully.
Uh-oh.
No, we've had internal issues before with this type of stuff, so the easiest way to handle it, in our opinion, was no one's in charge, so everyone's in charge.
I know what's going to happen. I'm going to bring on all 10 of the SCCC admins, and I'm going to just start lighting matches, and I'm going to see which one of you survives.
You're welcome to try.
Yeah, okay. Well, sorry, guys. We'll get back to the matter at hand, which is we're talking about merking here, and before we left for the break, we specifically are beginning to open the door to the prospect of a market, a real world currency market that I think inevitably will establish itself, possibly even on day one of a patch that contains this merking feature. So I guess, Fryce, we started with you last time, so let's start with Borla this time about, let's give the devil his due here. Let's before we start talking about the market, let's say, what good things do you think could actually come of this feature of having mercenaries that can jump between clans for clan battles?
I do believe that at the low levels with Squall and Gale teams that aren't able to get 7 guys or whatever the division size is for that season, that there could be some benefit for that. I also believe there could be some people who are not in clans or in social clans that don't do clan battles that could float into those divs, and they could enjoy the evening playing clan battles and be able to, maybe entice them to play more often, or entice them to join a clan that plays more often, or help some of these clans grow. I think the value in that is fairly low, and I think there's some other solutions that they could use that would help that. Maybe allowing clans to have alliances. If two clans were both able to opt in as allies for each other, and they had to be locked in for the whole season, and they could only mix divs between those two clans. Like, I think there's other.
Ooh, that's interesting.
But
yeah,
I think there's other solutions to attack that problem that are a little better. But I do think it could have some small positive impact there.
I see. How about you, Fryce? What do you think?
I mean, Borla's pretty right in that regard. The other thing that you could think about is, say you are in, TNG 1 and the people in TNG 4's caller has, the flu or whatever, so he can't play that night. You could send somebody down to call for them, which certainly will help with that matter, because a lot of the times just knowing where you need to go strategically wins you games. It doesn't even have to be individual player skill that does it. Like, you don't have to be better than the people in, Gaishu's clan or 07. You just have to be able to position to prevent them from beating you.
Right.
And the big thing with that is just you need lots of experience. And the easiest way to get that is by having played a ton. And the people that play a ton tend to funnel into the same teams because, you get tired of losing and you end up forming large teams of people that don't lose that often.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's sort of like, I always like to think of it as like the law of gravity in social interactions where, as one person shows themselves to be really, really capable, really good, it just draws other people who want to be around that person so that they can sort of learn as they play. So I feel like strong players tend to beget strong players? Strong players tend to attract strong players, which is, I think, how you oftentimes end up with a sort of a super group like Gaishu's clan, like 07, when one clan supernovas, the others are attracted to the largest gravitational pull, in a way. And so it is a concerning thing for sure to say that that's an inevitability, I think. I don't think you could argue that wouldn't happen more frequently in a situation where you can literally just jump into someone else's clan division if you want. I sort of made the joke at the beginning of this when I first read the thing. I said, well, looks like whomever's going to win clan battles is the person who can dump the largest pile of hentai on Gaishu's doorstep. And, and of course, that's just a joke, but it's just Is it? But is it, though? It's just sort of the idea of you're going to have an incentive to encourage other people to play with you now instead of with their own clan. And I'll just say this right now to you guys. I'm not the strongest competitive player out there. I'm pretty good, but I'm not the strongest. There's a dozen people in TNG considerably better than I am. But I, probably because I have somewhat of a public appearance because of the podcast and whatnot, I've already had 3 clans message me directly and ask me, offer to pay me to come and play with them next season. They even said, you don't have to stay with us forever. We want guidance and we want someone to play with us. And I was floored because I don't know if my value is actually that high or not, but it just realized right away already there's a market for it. It hasn't even dropped yet. It's just been one post and already money is sort of preliminarily changing hands. I think you call it market speculation or something like that.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think they asked that or offered that for your skill or for the overall attraction that would give to their clan for recruiting and things like that? Because through this podcast and through being one of the exos of TNG, you're a known personality, and that might attract people. I
did not consider that. I'm a very naive person. I'll just admit this to both of you and everybody listening. I'm very naive in some ways, and I tend to look for the best intentions in people first. I grew up in a small town in Oregon where everybody's friendly, so that's just how it works. But I assumed that, they really did. They probably assumed that my clan battle strategy and tactics are higher than they really are. They probably took a look at the leaderboards this season and saw, TNG's on top. I associate Boggzy with TNG, so therefore, he must know quite a bit, and I probably know more than they do at the moment. But again, there's a dozen TNG guys still remaining who would be better suited for it than I would. So that's just my first taste of how this might all shake out, and that's pretty innocent. That's just someone saying, "Hey, would you play with our clan? Or I've even had offers to just a couple hours. We'll pay you for a couple hours to just go over clan battle tactics with us. And my instinct is like, well, I'll just come hang out with you guys if you want. But so that's even just a preliminary thing. And Fryce, let's start with you. Let's talk the dark clouds. Like, how is this? Go as far as you want with this. Feel free to speculate. But what's the dark side of this look like to you in terms of a real market coming up, real world money changing hands? I guess the integrity of the actual competitive scene. Have at it, man.
Yeah, so I'll focus on the integrity of the competitive scene because I kind of care more about that than any sort of real money transaction going on here.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, if you want to throw money at somebody to join your clan, by all means, go for it. But in terms of the competitive integrity of it, and this has been happening to some extent, but it's been happening behind closed doors, just people switching accounts. But you can end up in a situation where Clan A is, 500 points in Hurricane halfway through the season, so there's absolutely no reason for them to ever play, because if they win a game, they earn, 5 points, and if they lose like 45. So instead of playing with their clan, hey, we'll just go join, Clan D, who's 300 points back, and make sure Clan D can beat Clan A, or Clan B, because we really don't like Clan B. And to me, that kind of hurts the integrity of it, because when you have people from, one clan joining others to gatekeep a better clan from winning by, hiring out their services, it goes against the spirit of friendly and honest competition.
Certainly. I mean,
if I didn't lose anyone with that analogy there with, Clan A, B, D, and C.
No, I don't think so at all. I think it. Well, before I put my take on it, Borla, what do you think? What do the dark clouds look like to you?
I agree with Fryce. The real money stuff is all out there and absolutely will happen if this gets implemented as we believe it could. But the integrity of who makes Hurricane, where they rank, who makes Typhoon, the top end of competitive and clan battles, exactly what he mentioned will happen at some point. There will be a clan or two or three who are comfortable with where they're at in the standings. Maybe they have another clan that they're friendly with that they would like to give a little bump. They have a clan that is, like I mentioned earlier in our group, our KSC guys could be in Hurricane, be happy with where we're at, but we want KSD or KSE to push past somebody or to push into the next league up. And the ability for that to happen so easily it really kind of stands the whole, it gets rid of the value of the standings to some extent and really ruins the identity of the clan. Even, we talked about how TNG has different crews that at times will move to a different branch, either up or down. There is a cooldown period. You have to have players that are willing to buy into that system. Like there's some checks in place in the way that functions, and everybody is hardcore TNG. Like wherever they're going in the branches, even if they switch a clan in game, they're a TNG person doing that, and that's part of the TNG system, and everybody gets that.
Right.
But for me to send my players to Fryce's clan or vice versa because we wanted to shut out somebody else or gatekeep somebody else, that type of thing will happen, and it shouldn't happen.
And just to expand on that really fast, that's why we have a 3-day cooldown for switching clans, because in the first 3 seasons of clan battles, OPG would push their rating high up and then spread their guys out everywhere, push all of those clans up there, and sit there trying to force everyone else to be unable to get higher rating and into Hurricane.
Really?
Yes.
Wow,
I
that's
say
before
that
my
OPG
time.
is functionally a dead clan.
Right.
But that's where the 3 days came from, is because they would go out of their way to ruin everybody else's time to keep their title. And that's why there's a 3-day cooldown, and doing this, if the limit is really anything higher than 1 player, is just going to cause that problem again.
Right. Wow. Sorry, I'm maybe 2 years into this game, so the first few seasons of clan battles are completely, I'm completely oblivious to them, to the meta, to the culture, to what happened. So I did not realize that was actually where the 3-day cooldown period came from. But that's the first logical thing I would have done if I saw people skipping around between clans. Is I'd go, well, Jesus Christ, they're using this as a method of essentially gaming the system. So let's put a stopper on it. Let's put there's a real world term for that, like a capper or like a governor, a speed governor sort of on it. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. So, I mean, to piggyback off what Borla said, like, I'm immediately thinking about just the last season of Clan Battles here, where, TNG takes the number 1 spot relatively quickly and is dancing around with PWP. PWP gets disbanded, so TNG is left at something like 246. 07 starts about halfway through the season, quickly climbs the ratings, and then surpasses TNG, and then KSC as well starts climbing up right about, because KSC and TNG were always right around the same until the very end when KSC makes a real serious push, and then, like Borla says, literally it comes up to the very end where 007, one of the subsidiary clans of 07, ends up basically vying for second place with KSC. So in theory, if merking happens with not too much of a player cap in terms of how many people can merc, in theory, 07 could completely supplant the 007 lineup and play against KSC without risking any of their points, without risking 07 points in the leaderboard. That could happen, worst case scenario, where you've literally got two teams playing each other to try and determine number 1 or number 2, where one of the teams is actually not risking anything.
Or both teams. What if we made the joke about Gaishu? Either group. The situation you talked about, absolutely true. If 07 could have played all of their guys, and changed the dynamic from their side, what if the other side goes and hires people? That's where it's really could not even matter who won because it wasn't the people in that clan.
That's a good point. It literally, I think that gets back to what Fryce was saying at the beginning of the spirit of. What did you say, Fryce? You said the spirit of
the spirit of competitive and the integrity of honest competition.
Right. Because I mean, frankly, sure, like the Olympics at the end of the day is about, the main people will get sponsorships and they'll start a career for themselves, the people who, come in first, second, and third. But ultimately, really what people watch the Olympics for is to watch people succeed and to watch people display, the very best of what human beings are capable of. And there's a certain integrity that must remain there. Otherwise, people go, oh, well, if everyone's just doping in the Olympics and shooting steroids or, using whatever, what am I seeing? Am I seeing the best that science can come up with, or am I seeing the very best of human endeavor? Yep. So stop me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty much the spirit of what you're getting at, right?
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's why if this happens, I feel there are some reasonable hard caps that could be put in place that would keep the top end from questioning the integrity of it, do some of the assisting at the bottom end, allow people to play, and not force this just to be breaking clan battles.
Yeah.
Be honest, Borla. The top end will abuse the hell out of whatever system we have, and the way that this system is proposed right now is very, very easy to abuse.
The way it's proposed right now is very easy to abuse. I do think there are some potential caps that could be put in place that would, you're not going to eliminate the abuse, but could greatly reduce it. For instance, if you made it so that no one who had earned a Typhoon or Hurricane badge in the current season could merc, then that would cut down on a lot of the shenanigans. Sure, some people have alt accounts or they might wait to get their badge or whatever, but it would greatly reduce that. If you made it so that teams that were in progression or struggle battles couldn't get mercs, that would help. If you made it so that mercs could not be used above storm, I think that would help. If you made it so there were only 1 merc per team or at most 2 mercs per team, all those things, I think if you combined especially the limit on Hurricane and Typhoon stuff, I think you could get the benefits Wargaming says they want without costing so much to the top end or even calling into question what's going on at the top end.
What do you think about that, Fryce?
He hit the nail on the head hard enough to send it through the board.
Okay, fair enough.
Every single thing he just said is pretty much exactly what I had been thinking in regards to how you could do this without it being game breaking.
Yeah, I think it sounded pretty reasonable to me as well. I'm willing to be the optimist here, and I'm willing to say that since we've had one update, speculating on this with very little information, that those sort of things should be expected. I hope that maybe they'll listen to this. Maybe they'll listen and hear you guys talking about it and go, "Oh wow, those guys are really right. We should have thought of that." Maybe they won't. I don't know, but I hope that they do. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this conversation up. I want to thank both of you, Borla of KSC, Fryce of SCCC, for coming and sharing your considerable knowledges and experiences with this game for some hardcore speculation. It was a pleasure talking with you both. And Borla, I understand you also had something you wanted to say regarding my erstwhile co-host.
Yeah, I wanted to just say a few things about Synpax leaving from the perspective of somebody who was a direct competitor with him. I really think the community lost something. The way he built TNG, he was a disruptor. He kind of stood things on their head. There were people who didn't like the way he recruited or at first made fun of or looked down on TNG, but I don't think you can look at the results and ignore them. It takes somebody who is smart, somebody who has good people skills that can deal with a diverse group of people, and somebody who puts in the work to do what he did. And even if he didn't appeal to everyone, he was thoughtful, he cared, he managed a lot of personalities, he put in the work. So, I was somebody who was resistant at first to the way he was building TNG, but as the results built and spoke for themselves, and when I saw how respectful he was to other competitors, and then especially when the podcast came on and you got to see a little bit of his personality, I enjoyed the time I spent with him. And we've talked about some of the things that happened when the Saints group left TNG. The way he handled it was very meaningful to me, in that him and I had a brief DM conversation that night. He was gracious. In some of the meetings that he posted, he made some jokes. They were classy, they were respectful, they were appropriate. There are a lot of people who had lashed out and got upset about that, ghosted me instead of staying friendly. And so when I heard he stepped away, I immediately DM'd him. We had a brief exchange. TNG is a direct competitor of ours, similar in size, similar finishes, similar expansion trajectory. Gotten grief from people who didn't respect our approach, our ways. So while our stories aren't identical, I do sympathize with the path he took, the successes and challenges that he experienced, and I appreciate how respectful he always was to our group and to other people. So my hope for him is that if his work settles down, if he has a break, it'd be wonderful to see him again in 3 or 6 months at some point down the road. His contributions to the community were appreciated. They'll be missed from my perspective. I'm glad that you're continuing on in the podcast. I think it's interesting and fun that you guys had enough attention from Wargaming to have Wargaming employees, have Sub-Octavian. And so I wish the best for TNG as he has stepped away. I wish the best for you, Boggzy, with your expanded role there with this podcast. You and I have had lots of talks about this podcast. I've been a fan from day one. So you have my support and my best wishes to Synpax in his real life endeavors, and I hope we haven't seen the last of him.
I realize that it sounds like we're talking about Synpax as if he's dead, and he's not dead.
I did say I hope he comes back. So.
I know.
3 months, not 3 days, right? He's not Jesus.
My favorite is there's this meme that we have on the TNG Discord of Spartacus, the movie Spartacus, where they all say, I am Spartacus, right. And it also someone crossed it out and said I am Synpax. So like we're all nice. Synpax, and I appreciate you saying that from just from my position here in the podcast and in TNG. I appreciate you saying that, because it's true that Synpax, the controversy that surrounded him, carried with the clan and him for a very long time, but I feel like results sort of trump controversy. They sort of trump what's that word? Prejudice, I suppose. And I feel like he is one of the main reasons why TNG, I guess I should say, I don't want to say the sole reason, that sounds wrong, but I mean, he is the instigator of the results of TNG's success. And he is already missed here in our clan. He is missed by me on this podcast. And actually, it might be a good time to just mention that I do plan on, I cannot promise it because it's hard to grab somebody who gave up gambling and drag them back into a casino, but I plan to try and get him on for episode 50, which is just a few episodes away. And I would like to interview him, not just Synpax the character, but the human being, whose real name I know. And I might even be able to get him to interview as the human being, as opposed to just the character that we all loved to joke about and be friends with and compete against. So with that, thank you, Borla, for saying that. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Fryce, for being here. I guess that'll be it. This is the end of the first episode without him. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Down in the description below, either one of these two gentlemen who would like their Discord plugged in the bottom, I will include. And congratulations to Borla for having a very strong finish. Number 2, correct?
Yes, number 2.
Congratulations, number 2 NA. Fryce will be adminning the upcoming COTS tournament, which is starting real quick here. So I'm going to be casting for that. I'm excited. It's my first time doing that. Best of luck to you administrators handling this gigantic cluster. But I think this is shaping up to be one of the best seasons yet, so I wish you the very best with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And without further ado, I suppose, folks, that'll be it. Thank you very much for continuing to listen, and hopefully we'll get more of these out in the near future. Thanks.